You're listening to 88.3 The Sting. I'm Olivia McGreevy, and today I'm joined by Cory Coffman. Hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better as an artist and everything. And I'm sure our listeners are very excited to get to know you.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was super excited that we got to connect over email and everything and make this happen. It's been fun.
hmm
So, my first question is just if you want to tell us just a little bit how you got started in music and how long you've been doing music, if it's something you've always wanted to do.
Yeah, let's see. So music is something that's been in my family for a long time, I guess. And so I grew up around it. I I come from a family of drummers, which is cool, which is interesting. People find that kind of cool. Going back to my grandpa was a percussionist and taught at the university here in Duluth. Uh, and my grandma actually was a percussionist as well. And and then my dad was, except he didn't go the academia route per se, but he instead played drums in a hair metal band, which another story, but that I was actually born in California because of that. And then and also my older brother was a drummer. And so I grew up in a house where there was always a drum set up, and it was always encouraged to go sit behind it and play. So I remember from an early age kind of going down to the basement and monkeying around. And then from that, I sort of followed my older brother's footsteps. When he was in high school, he was in bands, and their jam space was always our house. And then when they weren't using it, of course, me and my friends would sneak down there and turn the amps on and bang around. And so pretty early on, yeah, I think that was maybe middle school or so, I was quote unquote in my own bands with friends of mine, playing Blink 182 covers and stuff like that, I'm sure. And um, yeah, it's just something I've been around, and then tended to lean towards that as I was in high school. And then when I was in maybe when I was ninth, 10th grade, or around 15 years old, I think that, yeah, ninth, 10th grade, I started playing out in punk rock bands actually back then. And so that was sort of my first step into the performance world. And though those tended to be more like basement party shows and things like that, but it just sort of evolved from that, and music was always a part of me. And then I ended up going to college for music then, and I was a music performance major in percussion. And yeah, so I guess that was a long way to answer that. I've been doing it for a long time, and it's always been a part of me. And yeah, I think I'm still figuring it out along the way too.
That's such a fun start. I can play a couple different instruments. I can play clarinet and trombone, but percussion is something
Oh,
yeah, it's
two
something
very different.
I very different. But percussion was something that always, like, I wish I would have been able to play because it just looks so cool. It sounds cool. You look cool doing it. I just wish I would have been able to pick that up. Never did. Do you play any different instruments, or do you just play percussion?
No, well, I do. So yeah, percussion was my primary, but then also guitar, which is kind of my new focus now with the whole music I'm talking to you about today. But pretty much I can, yeah, I stay within the rhythm section, guitar, piano, drums, and yeah. So and actually, this album that I've sent to you and you've heard, I performed all the instruments on that.
Very cool. So speaking of that album, if you could describe it in your own words, how would you describe it?
Hmm. That's a little tricky because I tend to jump around from genre to genre. Sometimes I like to write a song in sort of a indie rock style, and then switch to something a little more jazz influenced, I guess. I haven't really nailed a solid genre name to this. I think indie folk has been used to describe it, indie rock in a way, and really, I think the common theme is that I always focus on lyrics. So that's sort of a strong point. And also, being a drummer, rhythm is a strength of mine. So that is always apparent from song to song. But then, I've got kind of like a funk influence, and I'm a big fan of Tom Waits. So that you might have noticed there's some xylophone parts in there, and so I think I'm still trying to nail down a good description for it, but it's kind of changing, and it's always changing, I think. So that's a weak point of mine, is being able to describe it.
That's okay. It kind of leads me to my next question. I know you just mentioned a couple of your inspirations. Who do you look for, or what do you look for kind of for inspiration? Do you have certain artists that you look up to, or something that you usually do when you're about to start writing?
Oh, let's see. So inspirations for me. That comes from other musical artists, of course. And that really over the years has evolved. I know about a year ago when I recorded this album, I think I was listening. I really liked a St. Vincent album. I forget which one, but I listened to it over and over again. That'll come to me. Also, of course, like I said, Tom Waits is a big influence of mine because of his use of percussion and sort of like avant-garde sounds and tastes. I really enjoy that. And the poetry, that I like that a lot too. But so through the years, I mean, I grew up a punk rocker and listening to lots of groups in that world, and that definitely influenced me. And then I sort of transitioned to when I went to school. Then my listening became focused mostly on jazz and classical. So, and I'm kind of a classical nerd. And so I think, it's changing as I grow and change. Trying to think though of who recently I've been just looking at some Minnesota-based and listening to Minnesota-based artists, because I'm not always the most in touch, but I've decided that I'm even friends of mine. I've been kind of listening to people that I know and trying to catch up, I guess, in a way, because sometimes I put that aside and I don't listen to a lot. And in fact, actually, a big inspiration for me can come from reading, and so just not in a musical sense, of course, but just that kind of gets my gears turning lyrically and language and whatnot. And sometimes I get really inspired to write a song just based off of something I've read.
Yeah. Do you have like a particular book that sticks out in your mind that you read it and you immediately wrote something about it, or made spur you to write something?
Yes. What did I just finished a book last night, but I'm not going to write anything about it. So I do have a song that I'm recording right now that is directly taken from a short story a friend of mine wrote. Her name is Tina Marie Higgins Wuso, and she put on this event. It might have been a couple years ago now, but she wrote a short story. It's titled Wilting Point, and she reached out to local artists, musicians, painters, photographers, dancers, and the idea of the the whole thing was that you read her story and you came up with something within your medium that whatever came to mind once you read the story, you came up with something, and then we got together for a live performance of that. And the fun part was Tina had no idea and had no, she didn't care or try to steer you one way or the other. She wanted it to be completely in the artist's hands. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote a song for that event, which I titled Wilting Point. So that's directly, I mean, I didn't steal the words, just the story. I created a song, and it's about a young girl and her alcoholic mom. So it's kind of a sad one, but I'm actually working on recording that now. That's what pops into my mind first.
Yeah, that's a really cool like collaboration. That seems really creative, really fun. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it worked out. It's great. Mm-hmm. People loved it.
That's really cool. So talking about your debut album, Canvas and Colors, do you want to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind that album? Any of your favorite songs, something like that?
Yeah, let's see. So the main inspiration for this was really getting my first recorded work under my own name out there. I had previously released an album under the name The Cuckoo Bees, which was a trio of mine. And so this was the first step to putting something out there under my own name. As there wasn't a general theme or anything that I had in mind putting this all together. And this started about this time last year, or March last year, kind of in the heat of the first COVID lockdown. Because leading up to that, I was a pretty regular performer, a giggy musician, I guess, on drum set primarily, and playing in too many different groups, and my schedule was really busy. But once the whole slowdown happened, and then everything of mine stopped, and so it opened up the door for me to put some time into my own stuff for a change, which is something I've always said I was going to do, but never really created the time to do it. And it was always on the back burner, and I was really happy to make the most of that whole time and be productive and record songs of mine. And some of the songs have been around for a while, but I figured I still gotta go back and record them because it's worth it. And if I were to pick a favorite, I'm proud of them all. There's one that's particularly special to me, and it's called Marigolds on Monday, which was the newest song on this album. And that one I wrote about the same time last year. About this time, April, I think. I had already started the album and came up with this song, which is a tribute to my grandpa, who passed away March last year during this crazy time. And it's a weird time to have that happen, as far as being able to get together and visit or have any sort of funeral or celebration. And so that song just happened, and I added it to the album, and I really like it. And it was something I came up with, and really, I think I wrote it for my grandma. Mm-hmm. And so I think that one's the what that one means. I think I would maybe pick that one as my favorite.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Welcome. And I'm sorry for your loss. I know this has been such a weird time. I know a couple people who have lost family members, and I just can't imagine how hard that would be. So
yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's not the ideal time for that, but it is what it is, and it's getting better now. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad you're able to have a creative outlet to kind of put that out there. I think that's great.
Yeah. And yep, my grandma approved of it. So I think
But
that made it worth it.
approval, right?
Right.
So my current favorite song off of your album is Mother Earth, which is actually what we have in rotation right now on our station. So can you talk a little bit about the inspiration behind that for our listeners?
Yeah, Mother Earth. Like the name suggests, it's about our Mother Earth, and it's about caring about it. Yeah, basically, this is our home, and she is our friend. I think inspiration I drew directly from is where we are in. I'm in Duluth, Minnesota, and well, all of Minnesota, I guess. There's been sort of a back and forth between oil pipelines and things like that, and the potential impact that will have on the Boundary Waters area up there, the very pristine, clean water and wilderness area. And so there's been a lot of dialogue behind that, and family of mine that are involved in that. And I thought it was I thought I wanted to give voice to that a little bit. And I think it's worth something to it's worth paying attention to. And I thought, I guess it kind of gives it a little bit of a protesty feeling behind that. And I think that's what started that. I'm trying to think about like when I actually wrote that, but I'm having troubles. But I do know some of my grandma's sisters were very involved and active in going out to certain places and voicing their concerns about it. And I think I was thinking about them with this as well.
Definitely something, like you said, to care about and listen to. So very cool.
Yeah.
And you talked a little bit before just now about how you used to be very active in performing and stuff and doing gigs. Have you been able to do anything? I know COVID's really put a stop on things. Do you have anything planned, or are you doing live stream stuff or stuff like that?
Yeah, I just in the last couple of weeks, I've started to get out and play in front of real live people again, which has been great. It's felt really good. Over the past year, I think I've done a couple live streams. I wasn't one who really set up like a weekly live stream or anything like that. I did a few here and there. I did an album release one for this Canvas and Color album, and so it's slowly starting to pick back up. This upcoming things, this coming Sunday, I have a live stream, which is from a very cool venue here in Duluth called the Sacred Heart Music Center, and it's put on by the Minnesota Music Coalition, which is an organization that does a really good job of connecting and educating independent musicians and stuff like that. So that one I'm looking forward to, and then I actually have back to back. Then Monday night I have another live stream that's part of the Homegrown Music Festival that takes place up here this time of year, which is all virtual again this year. Slowly playing, and a lot of them are outdoors. And I had one last weekend that was maybe 38 degrees here, and it was a little bit. It was one of those, a little chilly, but yeah, it's coming back slowly, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm trying the best I can to get out of town. There's some difficulty with that. Maybe if anyone is listening down where you are, I am all open to suggestions of any venues, or one thing I'm pursuing is house concerts, for anyone who wants to host a little outdoor event party for their friends and family. And yeah, just trying to get creative with it, and yeah, get I don't know. It's a trick, and it's the more venues start to open, and the more it starts to happen. And I don't know. I'm hopeful though that once things truly come back, that we'll see a golden age of the performing arts. I think a lot of people are looking forward to it, and it might take another year or so, but I'm hopeful.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm really happy you're able to do some shows. I'm sure that's so exciting. I'm excited for when I get to go back to concerts and see live performances. I know we all miss it. So I agree. I think we're going to have everyone's going to be excited. The energy, I'm sure, will be amazing once everyone can be back together, because I can't wait. But yes. So for the live stream, is there a way that our listeners can tune into that?
Yes. The best way would be to find me on social media. Cory Coffman, CoryCoffman. We'll post links on Facebook, and I will mention it on my website, which is corycoffmanmusic.com. As soon as I get, I do have those links. I can't off the top of my head tell you, but the best way to find it will be find me, and I'll of course have a link to it.
Perfect. I'll be up for that, and hopefully
yeah. And actually both of them, they have there's 2 other acts on each of the night, and they're all fantastic, and worth checking out. So I recommend it.
But if there's anything else you want to share with us?
I don't know. Is there any other, let's see, I am working on an album now. Let's see. Oh, okay. So I the next album of mine is currently in the works. I won't be releasing it until next year sometime, but I'm coming up with a plan on pushing singles, and there's going to be a lot more music videos happening, which I'm excited about. And that's been a fun part of this too, is coming up with our own creative videos to this. And when I say we, I mean my girlfriend is a big part of that. She's very handy with cameras and all that, and techie things that I am not. And so we've had a lot of fun of planning and shooting videos, and we're both learning, but we've got some fun stuff coming out. And there are a few videos already out there that are supporting this Canvas and Color album. One is a stop motion animation, which took us forever to do, but it turned out great. And that one's for the title track, Canvas and Color. Anyways, I don't know if there's anything else I want to share other than, I would love to make my way down to your neck of the woods. If things are, how is it there for you? Are you starting to see little places popping up, or I'm sure outdoor events happening? And
a few here and there. I know some things are starting to be planned. There's a music festival that's planned for July, so hopefully that will happen. So little things here and there. And yes, I would love to see you come to our neck of the woods and come out and see you. That'd be really fun, really cool. So we'll have to look out for that in the future. Yes.
Any and if there's any venues or something that you really recommend, please send them my way. We're starting to branch out throughout the region here. So
definitely. I know we have really great concert venues in the area. We have a lot of small ones downtown and every size that you need. So I will definitely look into that, and we can talk about that for sure.
Cool. Thank you.
So thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you for having me. This is great.